You're listening to The Capital Table. Private capital markets have been evolving for many years, but never more so than in recent times. Take a seat at the Capital Table with leading experts discussing insights into the private equity and M&A worlds, and take away the knowledge you need to excel in a rapidly changing marketplace. We know this is one table you'll leave feeling full and satisfied.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Capital Table. Excited to launch a little mini-series here as we talk about the challenges of getting family-owned, entrepreneurial-owned, founder-owned businesses to market. This first episode, I think we're going to focus mostly on talking about the process of how to take an entrepreneurial, family-owned business through to market, and with that, certainly some insights into what the challenges are. But again, we'll follow this up with a few more episodes on some more focused topics on getting founder businesses ready for the sale process. Excited today to have Kevin Bodner join us to talk about this topic. Kevin leads our investment banking practice here at Withum. Kevin, welcome to the Capital Table.
Hey, Steve, thanks for having me. Looking forward to our discussion and chatting about kind of how we kind of work with family founder-owned businesses to get them ready for a transaction.
Yeah, certainly an important topic, and I think it's always important, and I think we all see in these times we're living in right now in the M&A market, whether it's a founder-owned business or a different, more established business like a private equity-owned business, there's always challenges getting them to market and, more importantly, getting them to closing. But again, focusing on the topic at hand, let's talk about the process, Kevin. Again, as I said at the top, I think walking through what the process is to get founders, family-owned businesses to market can help vet out some of the interesting challenges they present.
Yeah. So the key for founders and family-owned businesses, as opposed to, like you alluded to, kind of private equity owned businesses, is some of it. Part of it is the emotional tie there, right? A lot of the private equity firms, own companies, they're already ready to get sold, and that's part of the business. That's part of what they do. They know they're going to sell that business in a while, so the management team there is ready for that, and always kind of in the back of their mind, kind of working towards that exit strategy. Most family and founder businesses don't have that as the ultimate goal, right? Their ultimate goal is more than likely to transition it to another family member or some legacy kind of transition. So what we spend a lot of time upfront in working with the families is understanding what their goals and objectives are and helping them think through what their options are to make sure a sale is the right thing for them to do. And part of that, so we can customize kind of what that outcome would be. And with our ultimate goal, if it is to sell the business, it's to maximize value while minimize the risk of execution. Because a lot of times these companies just aren't ready, and if we rush them to market too quickly, we have what we call kind of a stalled process in the middle, and nobody wants that. That's not a good outcome for anybody. So that we spend a lot of time up front with the owners and the management team, kind of getting them ready, thinking them through what their options are, and make sure they're ready for a transition. So
let's talk about I guess the types of processes you can lead them through, and what some of those soft issues you mentioned, they're emotionally tied to the
Right.
businesses. So kind of combining two thought streams into one, again, with the types of processes and how you get them through those emotional hurdles and other hurdles.
Yeah. So first, we understand again the owner's objectives, and do they want to continue to work? Are they looking for an exit immediately? How important is legacy to them? Are they looking to maximize the value of the business, or are there other soft issues, cultural issues that may soften kind of what their approach may be? how they want to treat key employees, how they want to, if they're active family members, how we want to work with them. Is philanthropy important? All that goes into kind of customizing the type of process we're going to think about to work with them on. The other options that they have to sell in their business that we'll talk about is if they just want to take a step back or retire, is maybe they want to think about just hiring a professional management team to run the business and keep the business in the family, or take some money off the table in a different strategy that keeps them in the business if their really goal is really just want to retire but don't want to be completely uninvolved in a business or legacy. Some other types of transactions we'll work with them on is thinking about transition the business to key employees. That's typically a longer process over a long period of time because usually the employees don't have a lot of money down to put down on the transaction. But so that's a little bit of a longer process exit strategy for them. We also kind of in that same vein is talking about an ESOP, which is again a very technical structure to transition ownership to sell the business to the employee pool in general. And we'll bring in some experts on that side to help them think through that. Another sale opportunity would be talking about selling to private equity or financial buyer. Are they going to be a platform for them? How much do you want to sell the whole thing? Do you want to just sell part of it? Do you want to get a second bite of the apple after 3, 4, 5 years down the road at even a higher value? So we'll talk about the culture changes and shifts that'll go with private equity, selling the private equity. And then the last kind of option we kind of talk about is selling to a strategic, right? Somebody they know of, somebody that's usually in their space, their industry already, somebody they may know already. And what the pros and cons are of that type of process or strategy would look like for them. So,
you lay out a number of options, and going back to the mindset of the entrepreneur or the family. I mean, what do you see as some of the key obstacles? Just explaining what it's like to sell to private equity, or again, all the options you've already mentioned. Is that a significant hurdle up front most of the time or all the time?
Then a lot of times they think selling the business is the only strategy they have when it comes time for an exit. So my goal is to really get them comfortable with a process and get them to understand that they're driving the ship, not the buyer, right? So when we do run a process, is that we're interviewing the buyers as much as the buyer is interviewing them, and that's an important concept for the sellers, from the family, to understand that, because they really do drive that process. If we're gonna have a successful conclusion, is they need to be comfortable with who we're selling the business to and help identify the right buyers, the right culture for most family businesses.
Yeah, certainly an important filter entering a process. And so, with that, you've laid that out to the ownership, whatever characteristics of the ownership is, gotten them comfortable with their strategic options, again, sticking along the timeline of process. What's the next big step you need to tackle, and the challenges of trying to work with family founder-owned businesses and doing that?
Yeah, the next big step is they're once they're comfortable that a sale, some sort of sale, is the right exit strategy for them right now. We now move into kind of what I'll call our due diligence phase. And in that, we take an inordinate amount of time up front working with the family and the company to kind of assess management, look through the books and records, understand how the company operates. What's the reason for existence, right? What do they do, and how do they do it, and how do they compete, and understand all that about the business. Because at the end of the day, what we need to be able to do is position it properly, like I said before, to maximize value and ensure execution. So the more we learn, the more we do up front, the better that becomes. So we'll spend a whole lot of time talking to management, assessing management, making sure, or seeing how deep management is. Because again, with family entrepreneur businesses, a lot of times we find the bench strength isn't where it can be to maximize value. So we want to know up front what we can rely on with the management team in general for a process. And the quality and availability of the financial records and data. Data in transactions now is becoming more and more important. So being able to position that data that they have available to them is critically important. And what we find a lot of times is the books and records aren't up to snuff. So we'll bring in our partners to help get them ready. Our partners at Witham get them ready for that. The data is hopefully available. It's just not maintained or kind of analyzed properly. So again, we'll bring friends and other groups in with them to help us with all that, get this company position ready again to maximize the value as we anticipate what a buyer is going to want to see and know about the business.
Yeah, certainly we could have about 17 episodes on that topic alone.
Yes.
But let me go back to the management team piece of that, because I think that, again, more on the softer side. I mean, do you generally get full acceptance of the family in assessing management, or is there, how often do you get reticence of my management team's fine and you just go sell the business?
Yeah, great question. A lot of times the management team is brought in towards the end of that due diligence process. And quite frankly, kind of right before we go to market, because most owners, a lot of owners, not all, but a lot of them kind of want to keep on the idea of selling the business to themselves and keep that thought process really into a very tight group. Not many people at the company know that until we're ready to go. But ultimately, we convince them and we talk through that demonstrating a broad team to the ultimate buyer is much more important and much more valuable to a buyer than the entrepreneur or the patriarch, matriarch of the family being the sole driver of the business. And we got to get that theme kind of confident and comfortable with them to open up on the management team for us.
Yeah, so you get past that assessment stage, challenges on the management side, but you've assessed it and been able to get the data in order. I'll leave it at that, so that you have the financial picture, the management picture. What's the next step of your process and how does that come together with the family?
Yeah, the next is we kind of develop the story, right? Again, what you alluded to before is why does the company exist? How do you compete? Where's the next phase of growth coming from? It's hard to sell a business when it's at the maximum. There's only downside after that. That's not the story we want to tell, right? To a buyer. We have to give the buyer the reason why they can take it to the next level and how they're going to take it to the next level. So we spend a lot of time talking to owners about that. If money was no object, what would you do with the business? Where would you take it next? What would your strategy be to take it from a $20 million revenue business to a 40 or from 100 to 150? Kind of work through those different scenarios on what their vision would be, and then we'll build that story around that to go to market.
Again, tying that into kind of our overall theme for this series, the challenges of getting family businesses, entrepreneurial businesses to market, that growth story. I mean, there's got to be some unique challenges there, because at least certainly what we see a lot of times when we're working on the sell side, helping companies get ready for sale, is got some great businesses that operate real well, and management, ownership, family is great at operating day to day, and hasn't had the need to kind of develop that growth story. Is that an area that presents a particular challenge again for this category of seller? And how often do you have to really walk them through that story to be able to find something to your point, present to a buyer that is appealing?
Yeah, that's a great observation. And like I said, I'm sure you see that all often in when you work at the sell side work. But it is a lot of times these families have been. I'll put the term kind of cutting the lawn the same way for 100 years. They're just not changing. So they're not looking, and they've lost some of the vision, some of their visionary aspects of how to get the business or where to take the business. So that's where we come in, right? Part of our job is to help them think that through. We need to understand and do our homework on the industry, even talk to them about what trends we see in the industry and what's happening in the industry. To help them, well, what about giving them suggestions and ideas and help talk through what's happening, who's consolidating, who's selling, new products, new avenues, where to go, geographic expansion, all the different kind of growth strategies. We'll walk them through and help them think through what we can do and come up with a couple. So we don't need a detailed 100-day plan when we sell the business, but we just need to have some high-level kind of guidance on other ideas for the new owners to kind of go down the path. And that's more for financial owners, like as a platform or where they can take it. If it's strategics kind of know what they want to do. They want to buy the business for the customer list. They want to buy it because they have a new product that they're trying to get into, or they want to buy it because they want to open a geography or a customer that they haven't had success getting into. So the strategic side of the conversation is customized by who that strategic is we're approaching. But in a more general growth story is really very, very important when we talk to private equity potential buyers as a platform company.
Mm. Yeah, interesting insights. And, so you get through all those hurdles and certainly a lot of challenges that go into it. You have the story. What's next?
So so we know what we're selling and how and what we're going to do. And now it's really working with the owners to find out what kind of process are they looking for, right? And we have this conversation early on, but really we don't start the blocking and tackling until after we get the story down. And find out what kind of buyers do they want? Do they want us to go to strategics? If so, are there any competitors they don't want us to go to? Do we want to do a broad process? And for me, broad is catch rates for a larger group of targets than we would normally do. What I find is most family founder-owned businesses want us to limit the amount of people we reach out for. So it's our job to find the right private equity firms to put on a buyer list, right strategics to put on a buyer list, and develop that buyer list with the idea that we're going to start with 200 names and whittle it down to 100, let's say, enough to what we'll call clear market. Make sure we talk to enough people to do it, but not necessarily go general and worry about and just to everybody that's out there, of the 2,000 private equity firms that are out there, make sure we hit 1,500 of them. That's not the kind of process that most family founder-owned businesses want. They're usually very targeted. Our approaches are usually very targeted and very customized to who we're going to talk to. And a lot of that is driven by confidentiality, right? A lot of family founder-owned business owners are very conscientious about confidentiality. And they don't want their competitors to know. They don't want their vendors to know. They don't want their customers to find out that they're in the market to be sold. So we build a process really with that in the back of our mind about how do we keep this confidential, yet make sure we talk to enough people to what we call kind of clear market to make sure we're getting the best value for them.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense for this category of seller. And again,
right.
Appreciate some insights into the challenges of getting a family founder-owned, entrepreneurial-owned business to market. And again, for our audience, certainly that a lot of those challenges are kind of heightened in this current market we're in, and overarching challenges with getting deals done today. But again, I think a nice overview of the process and will lead us into some further drilling down into this and other related topics. Hopefully those out in our audience, some of you are family-owned businesses, entrepreneurial businesses, got a good overview of the process here and what are some of the challenges you're going to face on that side of the table. So Kevin, thanks for joining us on the Capital Table, and look forward to continuing this dialogue.
Thanks, Steve. I appreciate being here. Talk to you next time.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
You've been listening to the Capital Table. For more information, please visit withum.com. Thank you for listening.